Colleagues, co-workers, friends, countrymen. Michael Dean, how the hell are you? How was your weekend, sir?
Uh, it was a good weekend. Yeah, I can't complain. How about you?
I was good. Before we move on, colleagues, you know that we have to address the fact that Michael Dean was hurting last week. And it was the first time where you were like, I'm just going to set the stories and kind of bow out. Do y'all understand like the kind of psychopathic work ethic that this man has? Like when Michael Dean says, I cannot work, that means you need to go to the hospital. So
Yeah.
I was like, when you popped on today before we started the show, bro, I was just so much, I could just tell you felt better. You know, when you just have had a friend that's been sick for 6 months or 6 days and they look like their old self again. That's how you look and sound. So I'm happy you're back.
Yes, me too.
When
Me
did you
too.
turn the corner?
I mean, it seems like it's kind of up and down. I still have bad headaches, but like probably Saturday or Sunday, I started like it's been 2 weeks, and you know, yeah, I can finally breathe pretty well, sleeping better. But yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah. Well, that is great to see and great to hear. Hello, Marcy. What's up, ELC? Julia in the building, as always. Slapshot, what up? I had a great weekend, and it's so interesting. It was one of like the few times, and I think it's because I just had a cross country flight from Hartford, and just the pain of seeing on my return trip last Sunday. I just remember looking at the flight log and it said 5 hours, and my heart just dropped. I was like, oh my God. And I knew I had to turn around and go right back to South Florida this weekend. And like when I was getting ready to leave, because I flew out on the red eye Thursday, it was like the saddest I've been in a long time. I was like
Oh,
sad. And it was really like a quick trip, but I don't know why. I was just like, I didn't want to leave SAR, I just didn't feel it. And of course, I had all those feelings. But when I got there, it was so great because I went back to my home club, which is, it's kind of in a different place now, but it's the same place. And all the staff that I knew as a young comic, they all are like general managers now. One of my homegirls that was the bartender at the Fort Lauderdale Improv is now head of food and beverage for the Lowe's hotels. The Lowe's, like, I
wow.
asked her, I was like, "What's your cheapest room?" She was like, 587 a night. Like, and like that's my homegirl. And so I was just, it was like I left, I turned the lights off, and I came back a little longer than 10 years later, turn the lights back on, and all my friends are adults and doing great. So it was great. But I grabbed this, I took up my friend um, Megan, who I was just talking about, who runs the food and bev at Lowe's Hotels. She was like, "Do you still have the same number?" And I was like, "I think so." So I text her, and she was like, "Do you know when our last text was?" And
Oh
she was
shoot.
like, "It was in 2018." And Michael Dean, I have the picture. I want to pull up just to give the colleagues an idea of like who I used to be. I hope this plays on this with this background. Let me see here. Let me disappear us. You can see it says, let's get rid of the friends from work banner. Let me move that real quick. Um, it said it's 2:10 a.m. Michael Dean, and I text, "Are you out tonight?" and she's like, "Just got back from work." And it's so weird because I was telling Hannibal, who I was with, it wasn't, and I have a picture of us as well. Megan has always just been a friend. She's married to one of the bartenders. And this wasn't like a booty call. This was just like, let's get the night going. This is the weekend. Obviously, that's Hannibal. The guy with the afro is Drew Ella. He was recommended to me by future guest of the show on Wednesday. Lisa Correa will be on, and she recommended we use Drew as an opening act. He was fantastic. And then the bottom is, if you guys are Black comedy fans, is Guy Tory, been super famous in the Black comedy world for decades. His brother is obviously Joe Tory, and we just had a really interesting conversation about life. So it was like a really, really, really good weekend. So
Oh
yeah,
good.
yeah, it was good. We are ready to go, and we got lots of stories to get to. So Michael Dean, what do you want to do first?
Oh, can we quickly say Tory is sorry she can't make it.
Oh yes, please. I can't believe I didn't get this. Yes.
We hung out this weekend some. It was nice to see her. So
Yes.
yeah.
Tori and Sar hung out at, I think, both nights this weekend.
Okay.
Tori and Lamb, and Tori has an important meeting with her doctor. Everything's fine, but you got to stay on top of stuff. So we are wishing her well. Way to book that right in the middle of the show, Tori. I see what you did, girl. I see. No, I mean that it's weird with doctors and dentist appointments. You got to take whatever they offer. They're like,
if you have to. Yeah.
They're like, can you do Thursday, Michael? And you're like, oh, I have the show. And they're like, okay, so November 11th. And you're like, I'll do Thursday.
Whatever you need.
Thursday is great. So yes, we are sending Tori all of our love. And just to let you know, Michael Dean, I don't know if you get down like this, but Tori has been invited to the Scrabble offs. Usually it's just me and Sar. Do you play Scrabble, Michael Dean?
No.
Okay.
It sounds like it's pretty, a big deal.
Yeah, you should come over. It gets intense. Sar told me that she was undefeated in Scrabble, and I went in with that mentality, and I beat her 2 out of 3. I'm just saying, I don't want to be talking out of school, but she knows what the record is, and she knows who the champ is. And maybe after I beat her, I made movie trailers about how I beat her that I'll show tomorrow. But yes, she will get a chance to get her title back. But in the meantime, let's get to these stories, Michael Dean. All right, MDZ. NYC is getting freezy. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Michael Dean, talk to us about what's going on in New York City. Or not going on.
There is a second of snowstorm, blizzard, nor'easter that they've had in like a few weeks. It sounds like there's lots of people missing power. It just sounds miserable. Tons of people stuck at airports, 5,000 flights delayed, all the things. And I don't know about you, but I see all of these like blizzard, winter weather warnings going on, like in California and in like on the East Coast, and I am like, yo, what's going on? Where's our winter? Where's any snow? Please come here.
I don't know if I'm going to go as far as to request it to come here, because I feel like the mistress of weather is like, oh, you getting cocky over there, Mr. Dean? I'm gonna show you how we do. But yeah, it's so weird, and this actually affected when I was in Florida this weekend. Obviously, I'm flying west, so I'm fine. But I got to the airport my flight left at 6 a.m., so I got to the airport at 4:45 in the morning. Airport was packed with travelers. Anybody trying to go north of West Palm Beach, they were in some trouble. So actually, Hannibal, who lives in Brooklyn, obviously, he ended up staying an extra day. So I think he just left Florida today and went to Chicago because it's so crazy. So like millions of people are stuck. Michael Dean, have you ever been in a blizzard, hurricane? Oh, yeah. Have you been in any adverse weather?
So I want to say it was my 40th birthday weekend, and I was supposed to have a bunch of friends come in, and we had plans to go stay at the Broadmoor. And that was like 26 inches that we got that weekend. And like they came and we went, but like all of them got delayed a day. We spent the entire day trying to get back up here and like shoveling out the alley to get into the garage and down the street. I mean, it was a mess. But I mean, New York City has had more than 15 inches of snow in Central Park. I mean, like a city like that, it's just like everything grinds to a halt.
Did you hear that they're going to get more snow during this weather event than Denver's had all year?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. We're going to have such bad wildfires.
Yeah, but, I mean, this weather is crazy, and I was in a blizzard in Boston once, and I've been in 2 hurricanes in Miami, and just I think what is always lost on people is it's not only once the storm passes, but just all the infrastructure that we just like never even think about. is a lot of times it's knocked out. You're talking about gas pumps; those are all electric. You're talking about street lights. You're talking about stores that you normally go to, and if those stores are open, they ain't got nothing but super glue and the worst flavor of Campbell's soup left on the shelf. So yeah, it's a really scary thing. I hope everybody in New York is hunkering down, but I've already seen a lot of videos of people playing in the snow because New Yorkers gonna New York. So shout out to them. We are thinking about them, and Michael Dean, for as much as New York is under a ton of snow, it seems like President Trump is under a ton of water. So let's do this. All right, Michael Dean, we're going to get to his polls in a second, which are not that great.
No.
But President Trump this weekend, it was like kind of the beginning of the weekend. His friends at the Supreme Court was like, we ain't that cool, dog, because they basically said that his tariffs, him just imposing tariffs, is unconstitutional, and you need to go to Congress for that. You can't just like, you're not a king. And I'm sure it's shocking to him because they've kind of rolled over and exposed their belly anytime they've gotten a chance for this administration. So he lashed out, Michael Dean. He called them disloyal lapdogs, which, first of all, who's more loyal than a lapdog? They ain't going nowhere. Like the killers and like horrible emperors have had a lapdog that's like chilling. You just killed 2 million people. I'm gonna sit right in your lap. So it's like, I don't know if those two things could be the same.
I amen to this Supreme Court for actually like standing by the law. The law that he used to pass these tariffs don't even mention tariffs. It was such a stretch. I don't think it's a bad thing that the highest court in the land actually cares about the law and what it says and applying it appropriately. The thing that frustrates me the most is that this is such a mess for businesses and for people like you and I who've had to pay all of these extra taxes, because let's get real, tariffs are taxes, and the government collected all that money. They have billions and billions and $30 billion a month that they took in of our money, of businesses' money, and it's going to be who knows if we'll ever get it back, but like certainly those businesses, it's going to be a headache to get them.
I can save you some time. We're not. I actually, because I hate myself, I watched that interview with Scott Bessent when he was being interviewed about the tariffs and them being declared unconstitutional. And it is said that Trump needs to refund that money. And he basically said, we're just going to drag it out in court. So he said, he literally said, we can go a number of routes. We can just drag this out for years. I'm like, you're not supposed to say that. But, this can just go on in perpetuity. I don't hold any hope out for us getting like some kind of refund, even though it would be nice. Maybe a class action lawsuit would help push that along. But Michael Dean, I don't know if you saw, because Trump does not take losses well. Like, okay, well, I guess I have to go to Congress, which he could still do.
Right.
But,
go
ahead.
Well, these 15% tariffs that he did are temporary. They're like 150 days, and then he has to get congressional approval, which means that he needs all of those Republicans of his to vote in favor of them. And that's a terrible look right now, given the affordability crisis.
Right. It's wildly unpopular, Michael Dean. And I think this is what happens when it's like if you had $80 million, all of a sudden, Michael Dean, every joke you told at the dinner party is hilarious. Every song you sing, man, I've never heard anybody hit that note like you, Michael Dean. When you are in charge of everything and you have sycophants around you telling you that everything you're doing is super popular and your polls are through the roof, which we're going to get to next, he doesn't have a mechanism for just having somebody around him like, hey, maybe we should just kind of get rid of this tariffs issue because our base is getting killed. And I'll tell you who else, besides people that live in the United States, is all the people that he has these tariff agreements with. Because what he basically said was, I don't care what they say, you need to keep paying these tariffs. Otherwise, we're going to go the embargo route, because he's saying he has the right to just cut trade altogether. So if you're not going to play ball, we're going to take the ball and we're going to take it off the field, and there'll just be no game. And so, I mean, it's really what the mafia does. It's like, hey, let's say you and Mitchell, friends from work, continues to do great numbers. Make sure to subscribe. Please tell a friend. And enough people subscribe and enough people tell a friend, where we make enough money where you and Mitchell can open a bed and breakfast. All right, that's great. You're like, we did it. But the mafia comes and they say, look, you're going to pay us $1,000 a week. Otherwise, there might be some trouble at your venue. And eventually, if you don't pay, they're going to firebomb it. And that's exactly what Trump is doing with these tariffs. If you don't pay, we're going to just torch all trade with your country.
You know, it's so weird. Like, I just wish we didn't have a child for president that like doesn't get his way and then starts, throwing a hissy fit, calls all these news conferences, acts a total fool, and then, all of a sudden with global economic policy, just like starts throwing bombs because he didn't get his way. It's.
Yeah, and you can argue he's gotten his way. These tariffs have been around for months. Like he enriched himself a lot. And I was looking at the case that they were showing of where do they make Rolexes? Switzerland.
Yeah.
He was over there. They had him in the Rolex box. They gave him that FIFA award, and all of a sudden, you're able to negotiate. But just like anything, when you go to see the emperor, you have to have a gift. And that's what he wants. He wants anybody that negotiates with the United States to have a gift for him. It's not going to be better prices for us, the consumer. Clearly, that hasn't happened. It's just like, hey, if you want a better trade deal, maybe you can give me a plane. Maybe you can, allow these American businesses to buy your natural products for pennies on the dollar, which is what we've done all over the world for years. So I'm interested to see how far he's willing to carry out his Tony Soprano-like tactics. Because quite frankly, people use mafia tactics, Michael Dean, because they work. So, and they absolutely have for him. And I'm curious to see how far he's going to roll with this. All right. And Michael Dean, while we're on it, let's talk about those polls. Because Trump's polls, and I don't want to use a political term, they're in the toilet. They're not doing so great. Michael Dean, his polls after 1 year, he's gone from 41% with Hispanics approval to 26%. Remember, a lot of people said the Hispanic vote really is what kind of pushed him over the top. And I think the thing that everybody's saying is most alarming, and I want to get your opinion with this. He went from 41% approval from independents, which is like the swing voters, the people everybody wants, and he's down to 22%, which, Michael Dean, is not great. So what do you think?
I have a certain feeling about the Trump poll numbers. The problem is, like, Trump is widely unpopular except with his like MAGA base, which always sticks by him. But I'm not surprised at this point that this is where we are, because his policies are crazy when it comes to what is actually affecting our country. Anyways, so of course things are going to go poorly. Shooting American citizens, like this deportation thing, ratcheting up tariffs, which are just going to cost Americans more money with everything is so crazy expensive as it is. His like starting another war with Iran. I mean, who knows, what is going on in this man's head. But like the thing that bothers me, or the thing that is so troubling to me, is I don't see anybody else doing a great job at filling that hole or coming in and being like, rally around me. Democrats aren't doing what it takes to get my vote. You know what I mean? Like it's just the anti-Trump stuff. It's like,
it's if you're running against somebody, which politicians are always running for re-election, even at the day that they win their position, the campaign for the next cycle begins that day. If you are a Democrat, and this is what colleagues, it's like, what did the kids say? Make it make sense to me. You need one, one thing to run against your opponent. Was their partner stitched up in some kind of, business dealing that went south and they were, found liable? Was your partner? Do you have compromising pictures of somebody? The Democrats have everything right in front of them. The Epstein world could be used a million different ways. Unpopular policies like the tariffs. We should have a Democrat in our face every day, Michael Dean, saying, hey, we don't even have to fight over who's going to go after which issue. We got, I'm going to take the economic numbers. You take how bad he's doing with independence. You take how they didn't redact the Epstein victims' names. You take the fact that they only have 4 computers in the DOJ for us. There's so many things, Michael Dean, and they've gone after none of them. So looking at the landscape, what do you think that is? Because it has to be something.
Well, I don't know. I think the biggest problem here is money in politics, and the fact that this billionaire class, like everybody needs a billionaire in their pocket in order to win an election. You know what I mean? And at that point, you're just catering to the whims of what they need rather than, actually catering to us. The other big thing here, Al, is because things are so politically divisive, like you can't look at anything objectively. If the other side says they like it, if Republicans are for it, Democrats have to be against it. If Democrats are for it, Republicans have to be against it. It has to be the worst thing in the world. There's no way of being like, hey, this part of this is a really good idea. Let's try to work on this and come up with a better solution, together. Like there is none of that. You can't do so all of a sudden, you just have to be diametrically opposed to the other side, which I don't think is solving anybody's problems.
I mean, Michael Dean, to your point, and this just highlights how spot on you are with what you said. The last time that Les Wexner was deposed, none of the Republicans even showed up to the deposition. They didn't even. You would think that assaulting human beings of all ages for decades, it appears, would be a rallying cry for humans. But besides Massey, who gets a ton of backfire from the president for being considered a turncoat, I don't see any other Republicans out front. The ones that really had to quit. Marjorie Taylor Greene, stepped away. And what was the first? And I wonder if this is maybe it, because remember when she said she stepped away and she's siding with the victims, and next thing she was like, I'm getting a lot of death threats, dog. Remember that? Yeah. I mean, that's part of the unsaid power that the right has. Their side, this isn't in theory, Michael Dean. A right-winger went in and beat Nancy Pelosi's elderly husband with a hammer. There was that judge's house in South Carolina that exploded because they voted against something in theory. It wasn't investigated or, but it seemed quite strange. We had January 6th, in which people crafted, and it seems like built from scratch, gallows to hang Mike Pence, in which they were chanting, in which they were damn sure about to do. They gouged out eyeballs. They killed a few people. I mean, they're not. And then whatever the hell ICE was doing, their side will come for you. And I wonder how much of that is a calculation with these Republicans. I don't think it makes you more of a coward, but I do think can you imagine how many death threats AOC has gotten?
Right.
It's probably in the tens of millions, because Foxx has weirdly fixated on her for years. So if they're going after Nancy Pelosi's husband, what is somebody that's out front and center, AOC getting. Can you imagine?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So I mean, I wonder. I mean, I'm not giving them a pass, but I wonder if that's what some of the silence is. But it doesn't make it right. It makes you a coward. But it seems like the Republicans that do stand up for themselves automatically step down because they know their base ain't going for that.
I like what some of our colleagues are saying here. Like there needs to be term limits for the House and the Senate, the Supreme Court. I think that's a great idea. I would love, Julia, to see Pete or John step up. You know, I was kind of bummed to hear Gavin Newsom come out against this billionaires tax in California.
Yeah, I'm so sick of him. Please continue, Michael Dean. It's just a visceral reaction I had.
Well, no, I'm right there with you because it's like, you know, it's like, oh, we're gonna try to like be moderate so that we can win this, and it's like, you know, why can't we just get those people to pay their fair share of taxes like the rest of us have to do? Is that so tough? Or even pay more taxes because guess what? They're super privileged. You know, that doesn't really stifle innovation. That's just some BS line people make up to keep rich people richer.
Right. Well, Michael Dean, to your point, sir, we just saw what billionaires do with their money. And they fly little girls across the world and ask, hey, do you have any more terror porn or whatever that monster asked for? Torture porn. We saw where are all the billionaire defenders now? We're currently looking at how they spend their money.
Yeah.
And it's so embarrassing, you know. And also to your point, even if you go, well, I think somebody that would defend billionaires would be like, well, they're privileged because they worked really hard. Let's just look at it from a what do you use standpoint. Billionaires, like somebody like Amazon, should be taxed more because who's using up our effing roads? Who's using up our travel routes to get things, to get you a blender same day of? Amazon is in our skies. It is in our cities with these huge warehouses. You guys are using up a lot of shit and you need to pay for it. When I wake up in the morning, I don't disperse 790 cargo trucks around the city of Denver. Y'all do. So you're tearing up the roads. You're using things and you need to pay for it. So I just don't, you know, when billionaires are taxed at the correct rate, amazingly, the market starts to correct, the economy starts to correct. But when the people are making the most money aren't paying anything, we see where we are. And it's a massive chasm between the have and the have-nots. And Democrats like Newsom have no interest in changing that. And I think that's why somebody like Mamdani didn't get support from Chuck Schumer, or, you know, he got a tongue-in-cheek kind of like regretful endorsement right at the end from Hakeem Jeffries, who I also have a number of issues with. But those guys take money from billionaires, so they cannot advocate for taxing them. And that's how you can immediately tell who's in whose pocket. Because if somebody don't want to tax a billionaire and all of a sudden they start, well, let's see, and humming and hawing, you know what time it is, dog. So I'm waiting to see if the people are going to get behind candidates that aren't bought and paid for. We all say we want it, but we'll see. Because what midterms are in what, 7 months, 6 months?
It's going to be interesting. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, this is something that I've been wanting to get to. So Michael Dean, let's jump over here. Let's do this. This is definitely all right, Michael Dean. You caught me trying to plug in my thing real quick. I'm not gonna let my laptop die. But yeah, I wanted to talk about, because you know I've been wildly interested in just like the structure and the operation of cartels. And I know it's super interesting to me. I'm very interested in And I think that might be part of the reason that people are so interested in the mafia, but for me, not so much. Um, it's just like it's just a business like anything else. They're just selling something that is illegal. But one of the guys that was at the head of the one of the more powerful Mexican drug cartels, El Mencho, his name was Nemesio Cervantes. I think that's right. Nemesio Cervantes. I taught middle school.
Cervantes.
Yes, there we go. Yes, he was the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, and it's interesting to hear that phrase "new generation." I know that a lot of people don't know what that means, but it really, what happened is once the U.S. got rid of, I think my weird Bluetooth thing turned on. But once the United States got rid of the heads of through confidential information from one of the heads of the cartel, they gave, this is maybe, I want to say, and I don't even want to guess the decade. This is a few decades ago when there were a number of powerful families. They got one cartel to basically tell where the other cartel leaders were because they all know where each other is. And using that information, the U.S. toppled a lot of cartel leaders. And so there was a new generation of younger cartel bosses that came up. So El Mencho is one of those. So that's why they call him New Generation. When we think about old school cartel leaders, those are like the guys from like the first couple seasons of Narcos. And the newer school generation, I think El Chapo was part of the newer generation, but maybe he might be considered old school too. But these are younger guys, so this is like one of the guys that that got knocked off. And Michael Dean, there was some unrest in Mexico over it. So what did you think overall about this situation? Because people were like implying that Mexico did this as a nod to the U.S. Like, hey, because the U.S. has been talking about using drone strikes on cartels, which is like, first of all, it's a sovereign country. You just can't do that. But they're just like, we don't want U.S. interference. We can catch our big fish on our own. Like, what do you take from it?
So, well, there's a couple of things. So apparently the U.S. military provided intelligence that led to this strike. And he died, I think, in transport after having been shot. And I think they also captured his like son or brother or something like that. So I tend to agree with you that this was probably done because there's pressure on them to start going after these cartels. It seemed like Mexican authorities did this and were unprepared for what happened next, and lawlessness just took over. Here's the thing: so many people are employed and make their living working for these cartels. They like, and by the way, they don't care about following any laws. They literally, like they just kill, maim, or whatever, and have gobs of money. So like, it just seemed like they weren't prepared for what happened next, and then they just go and light up all of these government banks, government institutions, like cars, all like just lawlessness breaks out as a result of this. And part of me is like, they should be doing more to take down the cartels, but it seems like part of the like unwritten rule there is that these people are allowed to operate so long as they don't hurt locals and they don't hurt tourism, right? And it just seems like that deal, unwritten deal, or for whatever it is, isn't good for this country because of all the drugs that come here. And I don't know how you undo all of that. And I think in this type of a situation, you just end up with people, regular everyday Mexicans, terrified, staying at home, and all of these Americans who are there, terrified, sheltering in place.
Yeah. I mean, the cartels own and touch almost everything that comes in front of any of us, any of the colleagues. We're talking about produce, talking about drugs, which people know, electronics, anything that needs to be shipped. Who do you think runs these shipping routes? Who do you guys think own those nice beachfront hotels? We just talked about the mafia. Those are a bunch of American dipshits that'll just throw a rock through your window. What do you think the cartel is telling the Hilton when they want to build a big thing right on the beach? You can lease it from us, and that's what they do. They don't. There are
Yeah.
no new builds down in Mexico. The cartel owns that. They own everything. They own almost everything that we see because a lot of the businesses that we come in contact with are good for doing what? Laundering money. They don't need to learn how to sell drugs better. The difficulty is laundering money. You got to find banks that are friendly, etc. That's a whole boring thing. But Michael Dean, I will say this in terms of the cartel and the unrest that it causes. I mean, you would think that who better than the United States to understand what kind of unrest? Because didn't we just destabilize the Middle East? You know, starting with Saddam Hussein. No matter how you feel about him, a lot of countries have leaders that we would all consider assholes. But when you take them out, what happens is there's a power vacuum and there's a fight for power. This is kind of how structures work. So I don't think that we didn't know that that was going to happen.
Well, it's amazing to me that like we keep thinking like, oh, we know the answer, we know the solution, we just got to do this thing, and then like, oh, you mean there's going to be aftermath? Oh, you mean it's not going to go the way we like? Oh, you mean it's going to mean more people dying? Like, how many times have we done this thing over and over and over again? This is what happens when you hollow out parts of the government where people, work across administrations who like are familiar with these things, who know the names, who know the people, and aren't there to be like, hey, yo, real quick, we could kill this guy, but then what?
Right. And the answer is there is no and then what? There'll always be a next guy. I mean, once we got El Chapo in custody, I don't think people at nightclubs were like, no more drugs. I guess that's it. There's always, whenever there is a product that people want, somebody's going to sell that. So like we have to like at some point grow up and understand that the idea of stopping drugs is nonsense. It is a BS fairy tale that is sold to us to make us feel like there are people on the job. We saw this, Michael Dean, 4 decades ago, 5 decades ago with Iran Contra. They knew that there was a drug war going on, but did they try and stop it? No. They took the money generated from that war and they funded their dark money projects that they didn't want to go to Congress with because the FBI and the CIA don't want to say, hey, we're going to be trying to put some crack in some of these neighborhoods. We need your help with that. Congress isn't going to fund that. So when you need to come up with money that you don't want to tell people about, that's where the drug war comes in. And that's why we have like one of my favorite cities, the city of Miami. How'd that happen? Miami was Boca. It was Boca Raton until about, I don't know, the late 70s. What happened then, Michael Dean? I think a ton of coke showed up, and now all of a sudden they got 4 sports teams and high rises everywhere. As Ford would say, what happened? Americans want drugs.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the movies? You heard of Studio 54? We want these drugs. And there is a constant battle for people to get these drugs to us. That's the only issue. Who can get it to us faster and cheaper? When Americans stop putting everything up their nose and in their veins, the war on drugs is over. Until then, which I don't know if that train's coming for a while, we're going to be doing stories like this.
Well, Al, to your point, we need to tackle this both from the supply and demand, side. You know what I mean? Like, you're absolutely right. And I think there's just so many people hurting and or bored.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I think it's for whatever reason since the beginning of time, people have been trying to get high, and the drugs change in this country based on where we're at war. Interesting, we went to war in Afghanistan where the poppy plant opium was. Now all of a sudden we have a big opioid issue. We went to war in Vietnam where you could get a lot of heroin. What happened in the late 70s? All these drugs are really just kind of the drug of choice for the country is weirdly dictated by our powers that be, in my opinion. But I'll say this as we move on. I was rewatching Narcos about a year ago, and they're trying to figure out how they can get more and more drugs into the country. And there's a scene where they had 15 18-wheelers filled with kilos of cocaine. They sent it in the United States, and that night, all of those trucks came back empty for a refill. Like, think about how much product that is being dumped into a population on a daily basis. Like, the demand is so great that I think that we've been kept in the dark a lot about our side in this, and why there's people killing each other. And it's because it's just so lucrative. There's always going to be people signing up, and they say, put me in the game, coach. Speaking of the game, Michael Dean, let's do this right here. If I can find it. Michael, I am vibing with some vibey sports because the U.S. women's hockey team won the gold, and then the next day the men were like, "Yo, what up? We could do that too," and they went out and won the gold. So shout out to the United States, USA. Both hockey teams brought home the gold, which is a beautiful thing, and they celebrated with a special friend. Michael Dean wasn't just the team in the locker room. Do we have any footage of Kash Patel?
No, I've got a picture, and just give me a second. I'll pull it up.
Oh, great. Yeah. So as you guys know, Kash Patel was seen in the stands watching the United States hockey team bring home the gold. And then he was seen in the locker room ripping it up. Yes, guys. First of all, Michael Dean, that picture of him with a thumbs up, I've seen those eyes on a lot of my friends. I've had those eyes. You only get those half-mast eyes after you've been chugging a lot of beers. Now, there will be people that are saying you're just going after Kash Patel. He's celebrating our national victory. Michael Dean, I would ask you, do you have any issues with this? Because I have a few.
So people are talking about what stolen valor.
Yes.
This wasn't really about him. Obviously, this was about the U.S. men. Like, first of all, I gotta put up another picture because this makes me so like that guy right there missing the teeth. Awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. That's hockey, and I know Kash is supposedly a big hockey fan. Great for him, but like, he's our FBI director. What is he doing there? We Americans paid for a private plane for him to go to this, and God knows how many millions of dollars to put him up and for security and blah blah blah, so he can go and party it up with Olympians. And it's just it's just a bad sign, bad look, in my opinion.
Yeah. Michael Dean, can you put that picture of him chugging the beer up one more time? And I'll just say, I was looking at that picture, and colleagues, I know y'all looking at that picture like it's a bad look. What do you think that picture looks like to the Guthrie family? That's the man at the top that is promised that he was going to find your mother and bring whoever stole her to justice. This is a person that is currently embroiled in the biggest sex trafficking ring in the history of the planet Earth, and it ain't a close second. And this is how he's spending his time. I'm assuming he wasn't really great to go the next day. Yeah, take 2 Excedrin and call me in 8 hours. What's going on in the United States and in the world overall is it seems like every day it's touch and go. And to see the cavalier nature that he would even think that he needed to go on there, and then have his staff tell us that he was there on official business. What? Keg stands?
Yeah, pay for it. It should be on his dime.
Well, I don't know if he can afford a private jet on his dime. And I'll make sure I have this footage for you tomorrow. And did you see the footage of Christy Noam and allegedly her, what did they call her, executive special assistant? Who's the guy that she's allegedly, Corey Lewandowski? Did you see the plane they've been traveling on, the one that has a bed on it?
Is this the one that they borrowed from the Coast Guard?
No, it's decked out. There's bidets on this joint, wood paneling. Michael Dean, there's like a king bed on it, like wet bar, dude. It's I cannot believe I thought I got that footage. I'm gonna write that down. All I need to write is it was like a plane that Drake would have, a bed, bro, not like a plain bed, a bed. And it's like these guys are like not even trying to hide the corruption, which I wonder, is that part? Do you see it?
Hold on, I'll bring it right in.
Oh, thank you. I'm yes. All right. Yeah, Michael Dean. It's just, and Michael Dean, you hold the fort down. Colleagues, don't leave. I'm gonna plug my computer in so we can go a little bit longer. All right, hold on.
Okay.
You got it? Okay. Right, let's just do it. Let's do it now. I got battery. We're good.
Is this the bed you're talking about?
Yeah, Michael Dean, it is.
Yo, I want to travel.
Yeah, it's a flying F palace. I mean, that is for effing. That is not for a politician. What is that? There should be a black light in there.
So all I have to do is be a super troll, love Trump and everything he does, and I get to do that?
Yes, you admit to shooting your dog. You get behind the meth "We're on it" campaign in your home state, and then you go on TV. You then lie about an ICU nurse that was murdered by people under your control, as well as Renee Good saying that she was a domestic terrorist, and then you get to allegedly smash a guy that is not your husband at 33,000 feet. We should all be so lucky. That looks like an Michael Dean.
That's the rest of it.
Michael Dean. What kind of official political business is going on there?
I really like Brandon's comment here. We're just going to leave it where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, come on, man. Come on, dog. Look at that plane. Like, we all paid for that. As they talk about clawing back Social Security and your Medicare and your Medicaid, and forget Head Start. And, if you try and get food stamps, we're going to run you through, an internal audit every month. If you're a disabled person or disabled veteran, then we're going to make it a bitch to get your benefits. But if you want to be corrupt and have a bang fest, once we level off at 30,000 feet, let us know. I can't believe that they let those pictures leak.
Yeah, but it's totally Hunter's laptop, Hillary's emails, Biden and all of that. Wait, did he make any money? What was it? They couldn't even figure it out, but maybe it was 5 million. I mean, like, I'm not saying
Trump enriched himself since he's been president this time. A couple billion. He did. Yeah. And let's not forget his plane from Qatar. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
here's to the Olympians. Al, did it feel good for you? Did you watch and feel patriotic?
No.
I'm just happy for this.
That's how I was. I was just like, to set a goal like that is not like somebody like me saying, I'm going to try and lose 15 pounds by this time next year. That's a great goal. That's a goal that I probably will not meet. But these kids, and I'm going to call them kids, these incredible adults, but they started these goals going to practice. And shout out to their effing parents too, who got up at 4:30 in the morning and lugged a bunch of hockey equipment into a Honda Pilot and drove to practice, picked them up at 6, dropped them off at school, and then they repeated probably in the afternoon as well for a secondary practice. To all these people, the incredible journey and the whole it takes a village. Their village willed them and propelled these young kids that are now bright beaming adults onto the national stage show. That's what made me excited, and that's what I took pride in, is the baseline humanity of just loving. A lot of those people are just products of people in a community that love them more than anything on the planet, and you see how much support it takes to get somebody there and how they perform once they get there. So shout out.
Yeah, did you by the way, I don't know why I thought about this, did you see the protest banner that people put up at the Department of Justice?
No.
So originally they had put up this big sign with or banner with Trump's face on it, and it's the Department of Justice at top and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, we did. I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about time for people for what they are.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Dean, it was such a bad look, and it was so embarrassing. Let me see if I think I might still have it. Yeah, here it is. That one.
Yeah,
he looks like. Did you ever see Ghostbusters 2 with Vigo the Carpathian? It was a painting that came to life in Ghostbusters 2, and it looks just like that one. Like, what kind of brooding, intimidating? Why is that the face of our country? Is that the image we want to project? I don't, Michael Dean, the more I look at it, man, I just think we're being run by like a weird cult. They're just all weird and like not particularly good at their job, but they're all so corrupt and so banded together. You can't really peel one apart to prosecute them. I think that will start to happen after the midterms. And I think people are already kind of scrambling and crouching down because they know what's coming. But right up until then, I figure it's like, you remember like when your parents were out of town and they were coming back from Mexico on Sunday and your mom was like, I know you had a party Friday night. There's something where you just go, F it, might have one Saturday night too. I'm already in trouble. And I think that's how they're doing it. They're like, some of us are going to jail. Steve Bannon's like, I'm probably going to jail. So let's just get as rich as we can. And I wonder if the country can hold the fort until these people can face the justice that they are entitled to. This is the Law and Order Administration, right?
Right.
Let's see what's up with that. So, Michael Dean, we have to get to this. I wanted to talk about the BAFTAs. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we get to the BAFTA story because
All right, let's run this. All right, now Michael Dean, the BAFTA awards were this past weekend. Did you know that you're talking to somebody that was nominated for a BAFTA award?
Get out. Was it?
Yeah, it was for Officially Amazing, the show I did on the BBC for years.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. How did I not have the picture queued up? Maybe I'll write that just so I'll show you guys tomorrow. BAFTA. Yeah. So Michael Dean, do we have footage of this? Or do we just...
But okay. I have this. This is when it happened.
Right. Michael B. Jordan, and this is for they won a BAFTA for Sinners. And this is Michael B. Jordan. What's the other gentleman's name? He's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
We will find that. He's a really famous actor. I'm embarrassed.
Delroy Lindo.
Say it one more time.
Delroy Lindo.
Yes, Delroy Lindo. They were receiving an award, and allegedly, somebody with Tourette's syndrome yelled the N-word.
Yeah,
Michael Dean.
It was audible on the broadcast.
It was audible on the broadcast. Yeah, these are live. So, Michael Dean, what were your first thoughts when you saw this, when you heard about this?
At first I didn't understand. Like, this person who shouted it has Tourette syndrome. They were there because the documentary about them, I swear, was up for a BAFTA. And at first I was like, what's the big deal? He's got Tourette's. And then I was like, oh, that's not okay. It that's, you don't, like, no one should have to get up there and have that word hurled at them. That's absolutely terrible. Absolutely not. Like, how in the world was that ever like an okay thought? And then what's even worse was Alan Cummings' apology, where I believe he said, we apologize if you are offended tonight. Like, there's plenty of people there that heard that and weren't offended. Like, it's it's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think sometimes when you see, I mean, taking it back to the Chris Rock Will Smith smack, and then like everybody was talking about how, you know, Will Smith was allowed to return to his seat and what's going on. I think people forget that as somebody's done tens of thousands of hours of live performance, tens of thousands of hours of live television, sometimes stuff goes down and nobody knows what to do. Right. I know people are like, well, the security should have, everybody was probably like, what just happened? Some people didn't see it. And I'm sure with hearing something like that, obviously, if it was not a person that had Tourette syndrome, we're not even having this conversation.
100%. They would have been
right. But Michael Dean, I have a harder question for you. If we are watching a documentary that's powerful enough where it's nominated for a BAFTA, that documentary is supposed to show you what it's like to live in the body of somebody that's got Tourette syndrome and say untoward, inappropriate things at the wrong time. So if we are to accept that this is an uncontrollable issue, physical, mental issue that seems to be pretty well studied and vetted and documented, can we still have the same anger? I'm not saying you can or you can't. It's just an interesting conversation, even for a Black man. Because if there is a thing, and I'm going to butcher the joke, and I'm mad that I don't know the comic that said it, but there was a comic years ago, and he just goes, I get that there's Tourette syndrome, but why don't they ever yell nice stuff? Like, how come they never go, nice hat? Like, it's weird that it is always something untoward. So, what should we do about this if we are a culture that does want to celebrate awareness about things?
Well, so there's a couple of things, and Tron, you're absolutely right. Like, this was pre-recorded when it was aired in the U.S.
Oh, so this was pre-recorded, and they left it in?
They could have cut it out for the U.S. broadcast. Like, what if it was held live, and, like, it took place in real time in the UK, but yeah, it was cut down from 3 to 2 hours and rebroadcast on for here. So yeah, 100% they should have taken it out. And like, I'm sorry, but they're like, you want him to feel included and to be there, but maybe have a special place where they're allowed to watch and they can make whatever, like, you know, comments are going to happen as a result of Tourette syndrome. They're involuntary, right? So yeah, but it doesn't get picked up by, and the presenters can't hear.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rough one, because it also might be considered a bad look if it goes, and the winner for Best Documentary is Tourette Syndrome. Thank you for raising awareness. Now get in this soundproof box, you freak, because you're going to yell something. That wouldn't be a great look either. And so I'm not saying, but the not cutting it out that's not even up for discussion. That really blew me away. Yeah, I don't know how you handle this. And you know, I haven't met a lot of people. I did a radio show one time with a kid that had Tourette's, and he was like, he's still trying to be a comic, you know, and there are comics that do have Tourette's.
We need to get Al a new computer, guys. We should all work on that. As a friends from work, yeah, raise some money. Get Al a new computer. Thank you. See? W, you know what I'm talking about. Now I'm just stuck here all by myself. Did everybody have a good weekend? Blame it on Trump. So Mitchell took me out. Oh, there you go, $9. We're already, what, a tenth of the way there? 0.1%? We'll get there for you, Al. But Mitchell took me out for my birthday. I was just saying, Mitchell took me out for my birthday on Saturday night.
Why didn't you go out the day of your birthday?
Well, because the gift he got me, he wanted me to take full advantage of it, which was a Topgolf membership. And
Is that something would you use that? You never struck me as a Topgolf guy.
My mom loves to golf, and because she's 83, like golfing hasn't really been something she's been able to do a lot. It's just too physically demanding for her. So Topgolf is great. So I now have a weekly date with mom to go hit some balls, which she loves.
That's awesome.
Which is a really, really sweet present if you think about it. So yeah.
And you know what else it does, Michael Dean, which is something I'm sure you didn't even process. It's just like you're hanging with your mom, you're a great son. But also, like, when you get to be her age, having something to look forward to every week is a big deal, bro. And having something that's going to be physically and mentally stimulating, the noise, you're out, you're in public, then now you want to hit some golf balls. I just think that's a bigger deal than even man. That's a really cool thing, man.
And look, Al, we've raised almost $30 for your new computer.
Oh my God, I don't want to derail the money train. I wish you know me, I don't want to get on the show and talk about accountability if I'm not subject to those same rules. I charged my computer to 100%. And instead of just plugging it in, there's an empty plug. I was just like, I can make it. And then we were talking about the Tourette's syndrome kid, and it was at 9%. I was like, we're going to wrap up. And then I looked, and then it was at 1%. And I was like, that was a wild jump. And so it was just me being unprepared. Or as I said, my computer's dying, so keep sending money.
Yeah, you need a new battery.
Yeah, it's there's a lot going on over here, Michael Dean. But you know what it is? It's all this fresh content that they're forcing us to pump out. I mean, I don't mind saying it on the podcast. I've never lived at a time where there have been, and this is all of our seasons of DBL, even with COVID, where there was this much daily content that we're not going to get to the Liza Minnelli thing. We're not going to get to the Met. We're not going to get to the chick from HGTV. We'll talk about her tomorrow. That said the N-word in the weirdest way and got her career. Did you guys? All right. I will have the clip tomorrow. It was the weirdest N-word I've ever seen. Because
really?
She was like trying to get trying to screw something in. And it's her. She's on a ladder. There seems like there's another white guy stabilizing the ladder. And she yells, she can't get the screw in, and she just goes, "Oh, fart N-word. Fart N-word." I've heard a lot of N-words. I've never heard that. It was like such a weird, there were no black people that I could see. Looking at her, I don't think she's probably seen a black person since May. I don't even think it was like racially motivated at someone. She just said the word fart and then accompanied it with it was the weirdest. If somebody just yelled the N-word at me, I'm like, I get it, you're racist. But like, it's weird when it's like, what was that?
Right.
It was just such a weird way to use the word. And now her show on HGTV that was making a comeback is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, man. And I gotta go to Good Star, but I had an idea years ago and I never really followed up. I was gonna write a screenplay about, I think this might have been way back when the Kramer thing had happened, about like a regular kind of boring office guy that's at an office party and they have a hypnotist there, and while he's under hypnosis he says the N-word and it changes his whole life, and like just like everything that happens, and like he doesn't remember saying it, and then he's like, is that inside of me? All these things, and how his friends change and loses his job and all these kinds of things. But that's not that's not a topic I'm really interested in exploring anymore. But yeah, I'm always like, with somebody like her, I'm always like, you didn't even say it with conviction, because there are those people online that, like the racist girl at Cinnabon, remember her like 2 months ago? And then you can raise like $1 million from racists on Kickstarter, but she's not even going to get the racist money.
I've got to run, but
all right.
Back with Tory?
We'll be back tomorrow with Tory. Tory, feel better. Michael Dean, great job stepping in. And let's end the show with the phrase racist money, because I think we're the only show that does that. Guys, please like and subscribe. Y'all are dope as F. You know we love you. Colleagues, co-workers. We'll be back tomorrow. I think so.